Hey everybody, Laurent here from MadX Capital. I wanted to put a 2-minute video together about a situation that we've recently encountered in an acquisition we're trying to make. Very interesting stuff, thought it would be worth sharing, and looking forward to any feedback that you guys might have. Also be putting a blog together on it with a bit more detail than this couple-minute video. So essentially, we're looking to acquire this site. The site has been running for 7 years. It's making great cash flow. It's in the men's fashion industry, and they have a really great following of individuals that are pretty passionate about the clothes that these guys are writing about. There's a huge opportunity on the e-commerce side that we believe we can go after. So we put a letter of intent. We have been doing due diligence now for 6 weeks, maybe 7 weeks. We're close to finishing it off. And on the letter of intent, we were very clear that this was to be an asset sale. So difference between an asset sale and a stock sale. An asset sale is you're buying the asset. So the domain name, the WordPress site, if there's any e-commerce sites, if there are social media accounts, email lists, things like that. Those are the assets that we want to buy. In a stock sale, you're purchasing the business. So you get all the assets of the business, but you're also getting some of the baggages that come with the business. So the reason that the sellers want to do a stock sale is that, especially in Canada, there are some really great tax exemptions when you sell a small business. Up to the first $900,000, you don't pay any capital gains on in Canada. I think US is a bit different, but you don't get those level of exemptions when you're doing a asset sale. So unfortunately, the sellers hadn't realized that until way late. They had already agreed to the terms in the letter of intent. So we pushed back and said, we're not going to do a stock sale. The reason we're not going to do a stock sale is when you buy a business through a stock sale, you're buying the whole business, which means you're buying all the liability and risk of that business. So say the business hadn't properly paid its taxes, or were about to get sued, or misrepresented themselves. You own all that, right? The business owns all that. There's no statute of limitations on some of these things. On some there are, but on some there aren't. So you could be acquiring a business and all of a sudden the next day get sued, and that's on you. And you can protect yourself to a certain degree by putting some terms in the contract around limitation of liability, and anything that happened before the date of the acquisition is the seller's responsibility. But it's still a hassle. If you get sued, you have to get your own lawyer and you have to manage through that process, and there's a lot of real cost. So we've decided that we're only going to do an asset sale, and the sellers now are trying to figure out how they can make it work. Now there are benefits to acquiring a business. Even though I always recommend to do an asset sale, there are situations where it makes sense to get the company. So if it's a very long established company, for example, that has no liabilities, no loans on it, you could actually buy the business and based on its credit worthiness, go to a bank and get a loan and then pay yourself back for the down payment you put together, right? So you can actually come down to like $0 investments. So there are some interesting ways that you can play with these things, but again, the amount of due diligence that's required to make sure you're protected, you're gonna pay 20, 30 grand just to get the level of due diligence you need to be comfortable about the acquisition you're gonna make. So we're not ready to do that for this business. We wanna keep it clean and make it just an asset sale. Our focus will be on driving e-commerce. That's how we're going to make some money. The intention is to flip it in 3 to 4 years. Buying the entire business is just a level of risk we're not willing to take on. So hope that was helpful. Like I said, I'm going to put a blog post on some of the differences between an asset sale and a stock sale. Hopefully that'll be valuable, and feel free to ask me any questions. Happy hunting. Take care.